I never thought I'd say this out loud, but I'm genuinely glad my sister stole my boyfriend. Yes, glad. Because the moment Ashley grabbed Ethan like he was some trophy she deserved, I thought I was losing everything. My relationship, my dignity, my place in my own family. But betrayal has a way of revealing truths you never asked for, and sometimes truths that save you. While Ashley paraded around with the man she thought was her grand victory, she had no idea he was carrying a serious illness he'd been hiding for weeks, something that would turn her perfect little world upside down. And while she spiraled into regret, tears, and consequences she never expected, I walked straight towards something she never saw coming. Real love. Real safety. Real peace. This is the story of how losing what I thought I wanted led me to everything I actually needed. I still remember the night everything snapped. The night my sister Ashley decided my life was hers to rearrange. It was supposed to be a simple family dinner: roast chicken, soft music, my parents chatting about vacation plans. I sat beside Ethan, my boyfriend of 3 years, hoping we could finally reconnect after weeks of distance. He barely looked up from his phone, scrolling with the same disinterest he'd shown me lately. Ashley, on the other hand, was glowing like she was the star of her own spotlight. She always thrived on attention, but that night her confidence felt sharper, almost staged. Halfway through dinner, she set her fork down delicately and cleared her throat. "Grace, can I be honest?" she asked, smiling the way people do before delivering something awful. I stiffened. "About what?" She glanced at Ethan before saying far too calmly, "I don't think you two are right for each other." My mother's hand froze midair, holding a spoonful of peas. My dad looked between us, confused. I laughed a nervous, uncertain laugh. "What are you talking about?" Ashley leaned back, crossing her arms. "I just think Ethan and I are a better match." The room fell silent. Even Ethan froze. I looked at him, waiting for him to shake his head, to say something, anything, to stop this madness. He didn't. Ashley continued, her voice annoyingly smooth. "We've been talking. A lot. And we realized we have a connection you and he never really had." The air drained out of my lungs. "Talking?" I whispered. "You've been talking behind my back?" Ethan finally set down his phone. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Grace, maybe it's true. Maybe this is for the best. For the best." He said it like he was handing me a weather report, not detonating my heart. I stood up slowly, my chair scraping the floor. "So, you two planned this?" Ashley shrugged. "It's not planned. It's fate." My jaw clenched. Fate? Fate didn't DM each other late at night. Fate didn't steal your sister's partner like borrowing a sweater. My mother tried to intervene. "Ashley, sweetheart, this isn't a pro." Ashley cut her off sweetly. "Mom, I'm just being honest. Isn't honesty important?" Important? She had no idea what honesty really looked like. I forced myself to breathe. "If that's what you want," I said slowly, "then go ahead. Take him." Ashley blinked like she hadn't expected me to give her permission. Ethan swallowed hard, guilt flickering across his face for a split second, before disappearing again. That was the moment I understood something crucial. I wasn't losing them. They were losing me. And at the time, I didn't know it. But I had just been freed from a disaster I didn't even realize I was living in. The first morning after the dinner, my apartment felt different, quieter, colder, almost unfamiliar. It was the kind of silence that doesn't comfort you. It sits on your chest. I woke up half expecting Ethan to text me, to apologize, to say he'd made a terrible mistake. Nothing. Instead, my phone buzzed with a message from my mom. "Mom, Grace, sweetheart, maybe give Ashley some time. She didn't mean to hurt you." Didn't mean to hurt me? She'd practically announced my breakup over mashed potatoes like it was a toast. I tossed my phone aside and stared at the ceiling. I felt betrayed not just by Ethan or Ashley, but by the quiet acceptance from my own family. Why was it always me who had to understand? Why was Ashley always the one they coddled? By noon, I forced myself to leave the apartment. I went to a nearby grocery store, trying to distract my looping thoughts. That's when I saw them. Ashley, Ethan, together. She was laughing, touching his arm, holding the basket while he walked beside her like they'd been a couple for years. He carried a box of tea I used to buy when I was sick. The detail hit harder than I expected. Ashley spotted me. Her smile faltered, but only for a second. Then she waved casually, as if she'd bumped into an old classmate. "Grace, hey!" she chirped, pulling Ethan closer. "We were just grabbing a few things." I raised an eyebrow. "Already? That was fast." Ethan's face shifted guilt, then discomfort, then something like irritation. "Grace, please don't make this harder." "Harder?" I hadn't said anything yet. Ashley leaned her head on his shoulder like she was marking territory. "Let's not do this in public, okay? We don't want drama." I nearly laughed. Ashley telling me not to cause drama was like a wolf telling a sheep to calm down. "Don't worry," I said, forcing calm into my voice. "I have nothing to say to either of you." Ashley exhaled in exaggerated relief. "Good. Thank you for being mature about this. We just want a chance at real happiness." Real happiness. With my boyfriend of 3 years. I walked past them, gripping my bag tightly. I could feel Ashley watching me leave, probably analyzing my posture, my breathing, searching for cracks she could call weakness. But I didn't crack. Not there. Not in front of them. Later that night my father called. "Grace," he began gently. "Your sister is impulsive, but she cares. Ethan seems to care about her too. Maybe this really is fate." That word again. "Dad," I said quietly. "If stealing someone else's relationship is fate, then I want nothing to do with it." He sighed. "Just try not to hold a grudge." But he didn't understand I wasn't holding a grudge. I was holding my ground, because deep down, something told me the truth wasn't finished revealing itself. Something darker was hiding beneath Ethan's silence, Ashley's confidence, and their sudden rush into each other's arms. And I was about to learn exactly what it was. After days of pretending I was fine, the walls in my apartment started to feel like they were leaning in. I needed air, or maybe just a place where the memory of Ethan didn't linger in every corner. So I walked to a tiny cafe 2 blocks away. A place I'd passed 100 times but never entered. That day, something pulled me inside. The bell chimed softly when I opened the door. Warm lights, soft jazz, the smell of caramel and espresso. It felt like stepping into a different version of the world, one where my heart wasn't freshly splintered. I took a seat near the back, staring at the menu without reading a word. "Rough day?" a gentle voice asked. I looked up. It was him, Jacob Hayes. Tall, warm eyes, dimples that appeared only when he smiled, and he was smiling at me now, but not in a flirty way. More like, in a human way. "Something like that," I said. He nodded understandingly, not prying, not pushing. "I'll bring you something you'll like, trust me." Minutes later, he returned with a vanilla latte topped with cinnamon. I blinked. "How did you know I like cinnamon?" He shrugged. "Lucky guess. Also, you look like someone who deserves something warm today." I couldn't help it, I laughed. A real one, the first in days. Jacob leaned on the edge of the table. "If you need a quiet corner to breathe or hide from the world, this place works great for both. You're welcome anytime." Most people offer small talk. Jacob offered space. I came back the next day. And the next. Each visit felt less like escape, and more like finding a place my heart could unclench. Jacob remembered tiny things: how I took my coffee, the book I carried around but never finished, the way I tugged my sleeve when I was stressed. One afternoon, he sat across from me during the slow hours. "You look lighter today," he said gently. "I'm trying," I admitted. "My sister, she took someone from me, someone I trusted. I thought losing him would break me." Jacob's voice softened even more. "Did it?" I thought about it. Ethan's betrayal hurt deeply, but something else was rising inside me. Clarity. "No," I finally said. "It didn't break me. It just showed me who he really was." Jacob nodded slowly, studying me with quiet attention. "Grace, there's strength in seeing truth, even when it hurts. Most people avoid it." I looked at him, really looked. Here was a man who didn't fill silence with ego, who didn't talk over me, who didn't treat me like an inconvenience. Here was a man who listened. When I stood to leave, Jacob said softly, "Come back tomorrow. I'll save your favorite seat." And for the first time since Ethan left, I wanted to say yes to someone without fear. It had been 3 weeks since the dinner, 3 weeks of Ashley flaunting Ethan like her newest accessory. 3 weeks of my parents trying to restore peace. 3 weeks of me rebuilding myself quietly, coffee by coffee, conversation by conversation, in Jacob's warm little cafe. Then one evening, while I was folding laundry, my phone buzzed. Ashley. Video call. I almost declined. But curiosity won. Ashley's face popped up, glowing with makeup but strangely strained. She forced a bright smile. Grace. Just checking on you. I hope you're not still upset. I raised an eyebrow. About what? Losing a man you clearly wanted more? She blinked fast, then kept smiling like a pageant contestant. Well, Ethan and I are doing great. Really great. We're thriving. But right then, Ethan walked behind her, and he looked terrible. Gaunt, sweating, eyes dull like he hadn't slept in days. He glanced at the camera and instantly turned away, pretending to look for something in a drawer. I frowned. Is he okay? Ashley laughed too quickly. Oh, he's fine, just tired. He's been dealing with some stomach thing. Totally normal. Ethan's voice croaked in the background. Ash, let's end the call. Not exactly the tone of a happy couple. Ashley shot him a frustrated look. Then she lowered her voice. Grace. Between us. He's been going to the doctor. A lot. They keep running tests. My stomach dropped. Tests for what? Ashley shrugged. Annoyed. I don't know. Something about his immune system? They think he caught something a while back. Honestly, he's being dramatic. I froze. Immune system. Caught something. While back. A memory punched me in the gut the last month I was with him. The sudden excuses. His fatigue. The nights he claimed he didn't feel well. Something wasn't adding up. Before I could ask more, Ashley ended the call. Anyway, we're fine. Don't worry. Bye. The screen went dark. I stared at my reflection. Heart pounding. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. The next day at the grocery store, I ran into our old neighbor, Mrs. Lee. She lowered her voice conspiratorially. Sweetheart, is Ethan okay? I've seen ambulances at Ashley's place twice this week. Twice. My throat tightened. My hands went cold. Ambulances? I repeated. Oh yes, late at night. He looked so pale when they brought him out. Ashley was crying. My heart hammered against my ribs. That night I tried calling Ashley. No answer. I tried texting Ethan. No reply. Around midnight, a car pulled into my driveway. Ashley stumbled out, hair a mess, mascara streaked. Grace, she whispered, shaking. I need to talk to you. I stepped aside for her to enter. She paced back and forth, hands trembling so hard she kept dropping her phone. Ashley, what happened? She stopped, looked at me with eyes full of terror. Grace, he gave me something. My breath caught. What do you mean? Tears spilled down her face. A serious illness. And he knew, Grace. He knew all along. The room tilted. My heartbeat thudded in my ears. Ashley sobbed harder. And, Grace, you were with him before me. I held up a hand, my voice barely steady. Sit down. Tell me everything. And she did. Every horrifying detail. Each one pulling me deeper into a reality I was terrified to face. Ashley's breathing was ragged, her fingers clutching the hem of her shirt like it was the only thing holding her together. Grace, she whispered. I tested positive. The doctor said Ethan has been carrying this for a while. He didn't tell me. He didn't tell anyone. My pulse slammed in my ears. I held the back of a chair to steady myself. When did you find out? I asked. 3 days ago, she said, voice cracking. I confronted him. He said he thought it would go away. He said he didn't want to lose me. I closed my eyes. He didn't want to lose her. But he didn't care who he harmed in the process. And Grace. Ashley's voice dropped to a terrified whisper. You were with him before me. You need to get tested. The words hit me like ice water. For a moment, everything went silent. The room, the world, even my body. Nothing existed except fear. I grabbed my keys. Get in the car. Ashley choked. Are you mad at me? I don't have space to be mad, I said sharply. Not right now. We need answers first. We drove in silence to Ethan's apartment, a dim, neglected building on the other side of town. The hallway smelled of old carpet and something metallic. I knocked once, twice. No answer. I banged harder. Finally, the door clicked open. Ethan stood there pale, thinner, wearing the same t-shirt from days earlier. His eyes widened when he saw both of us. Grace? He croaked. Why are you? I pushed my way inside. Ashley followed, trembling so violently her teeth chattered. Ethan shut the door slowly, defeated. He sank onto the couch, rubbing his temples. Let me explain. No. I cut in. You don't get to talk first. You knew something was wrong. You knew before you left me. You knew when you went to Ashley. You knew and still hid it. He looked at me, helpless. I didn't want to ruin everything. I thought I could handle it. Ashley exploded through tears. Handle it? Handle it? You infected me. You kept lying until I found out from a doctor instead of the man who claimed he loved me. Ethan buried his face in his hands. I'm sorry. I was scared. I stepped closer. Scared of what, Ethan? Scared of the truth? Scared of responsibility? My voice shook with fury I didn't know I had. Or scared we'd leave you if we knew the truth? His silence told me everything. Ashley sobbed harder. Grace, what do I do? What if my life is never normal again? I turned to her and held her shoulders firmly. You will get treatment. You will follow a doctor's plan. Your life is not over. But Ethan's choices cannot go unaccounted for. Ethan's head shot up. Grace, please, don't get authorities involved. I stared at him coldly. You endangered multiple partners. You avoided treatment. You didn't disclose your status. Ethan, that's not just unethical. It's dangerous. It's illegal in many states. He stood quickly, voice shaking. You're not serious, Ashley yelled. She should be. You should have told me. You should have told her. You had every chance. I took out my phone. Ethan lunged forward, panicked. Grace. Grace, please. I stepped back. No more hiding. No more excuses. I dialed the medical hotline for exposure risk cases. Ethan froze like the world had turned to glass around him. Hello, I said, voice steady. I'd like to report a situation involving non-disclosure of a serious transferable illness. The individual has refused proper communication and may have exposed multiple people. Ashley covered her face, sobbing silently. Ethan sank to the floor, defeated. The operator took details calmly, professionally. They instructed me to get myself tested immediately and informed me that Ethan would be contacted for mandatory evaluation. When I hung up, the room felt different, heavier, yet strangely clearer. Ethan whispered. Grace, I didn't want this. I met his eyes one last time. You made this, I said softly. You created this reality with your silence. We're just dealing with it now. Ashley slid to the floor beside me and clung to my arm. Grace, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I stroked her back gently. I believe you, I whispered. But we can't change what happened. We can only face it. We left Ethan's apartment without another word. Outside, the night air felt sharp against my skin, sharp enough to make me breathe again. Ashley trembled as she buckled her seatbelt. What if your test is positive? She whispered. I closed my eyes. Then I'll survive it, I said. But right now, we don't know. And fear won't save us. She nodded, wiping her tears. As I started the car, Ashley whispered something so small I almost didn't hear it. Grace, I should have never taken him from you. I didn't respond. Because in that moment I finally understood. She didn't take anything worth keeping. What mattered now was truth, treatment, and my own future. And no matter how terrified I was finally facing it head-on. The clinic smelled like antiseptic and cold metal, the kind of place where time doesn't move, only fear does. I filled out the forms with stiff fingers, trying not to think about the dozens of what-ifs rattling inside my head. Ashley sat beside me, wringing tissues into shreds. Grace, I should have never. I held up a hand. Not now, please. I wasn't angry at her. Not in that moment. I was terrified. Ethan's choices had thrown all of us into this nightmare. But the consequences were different for each of us. Ashley knew her reality already. Mine was still hanging by a thread. The nurse called our names separately. Blood drawn, samples taken, cold questions asked in gentle voices. Afterward, we sat in the parking lot, staring at the dashboard like it could give us answers. 48 to 72 hours, I whispered. Ashley hugged her knees. It feels like forever. It did. Because when you're waiting for news that could change your life, every second feels like an accusation. That night, I couldn't sleep. I paced the living room in the dark, checking my phone every few minutes, even though no results would come overnight. Near 1 a.m., my phone buzzed. Not the clinic. Jacob, I'm awake. No idea why. Just checking if you're okay. I stared at the message, throat tightening. Me? Not really. Less than a minute later, my phone rang. Grace? His voice was soft, careful. I sank onto the couch. I'm scared. Jacob exhaled slowly, like he was trying to breathe calmness into me through the phone. You don't have to go through this alone. Whatever happens, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Something in me cracked open, not from pain this time, but from the relief of being held emotionally, even from afar. The next day, Jacob insisted on driving me to work, then picking me up afterward. I didn't argue. Being near him made the world feel less threatening. He didn't ask for details I wasn't ready to share. He didn't offer false hope. He just stayed. The following day, Ashley texted me constantly. Any updates? Did they call? Are you feeling anything strange? Her anxiety fed mine. By evening, I could barely sit still. Jacob stopped by with soup. You're shaking, he murmured. I can't stop thinking, I admitted. He set the soup down and gently took my hands. Grace, I know this is the hardest thing you've ever faced. But the unknown doesn't define you. Whatever the result is, you won't face it alone. My throat thickened. You don't have to do this for me. I'm not doing this for you, he said softly. I'm doing this with you. There's a difference. That night, for the first time since the nightmare began, I slept for more than 2 hours because Jacob stayed on the phone with me until dawn, talking about everything except the thing we were both terrified of. On the third day, at 11:12 a.m., my phone rang. The clinic. My blood turned to ice. Jacob was beside me instantly. Answer it, I'm right here. I swallowed hard and picked up the call. Hello, this is Grace. The doctor's voice was calm, clinical, unreadable. Miss Miller, we have your results. Jacob squeezed my hand. Ashley, on FaceTime, held her breath. I felt the world tilt. Grace, the doctor continued gently. Your results came back. Negative. A sound escaped me, half sob, half laughter, pure, overwhelming relief. Jacob pulled me into his arms. You're okay, he whispered. You're okay. For the first time in weeks, I believed him. But relief didn't erase the damage done. It didn't erase the betrayal, or the fear, or the truth buried beneath Ashley's choices. And it didn't erase the next step, Ashley's results. Because her message came seconds later. Grace, I'm positive. And everything that came after would shake our family to its core. Ashley's message, I'm positive, replayed in my mind for hours. Not because I was shocked by the result, but because I knew it would destroy her more than the illness itself. Ashley had always built her identity on being untouchable, admired, adored, envied. And now, she was facing something she couldn't charm, manipulate, or outshine. That evening, my parents called an emergency family meeting. Jacob insisted on driving me. I didn't argue. Being near him felt like holding onto something steady while the ground shook beneath me. When we arrived, the living room was heavy with the kind of silence that clings to walls. My mother rushed toward me. Grace, thank God you're negative, she breathed, squeezing my hands. But Ashley, she's devastated. She needs all of us. My father nodded stiffly. We must stay united. I glanced at Ashley on the couch, knees pulled to her chest, eyes swollen, shaking like a frightened child. And for the first time, I didn't see my rival. I saw my sister. Grace, she whispered, voice cracking. I'm so sorry. For everything. I was stupid. I was selfish. And now this. She pressed a hand to her mouth as a sob escaped. I sat beside her slowly. Ashley, this isn't the end. You're going to get treatment. You're not alone. She cried harder, leaning into me like she used to when we were kids, scared of thunderstorms. I should have never taken Ethan from you, she whispered. I didn't even want him. I wanted to win. Her words stung, but they were honest. Before I could respond, my father sighed heavily. This is why we must be careful who we trust, he muttered. If Ethan hid something so serious, maybe we should take legal action. I can't lay. Ashley looked up sharply. Legal action? Against him? He concealed a medical condition, my dad said firmly. In this state, that's a reportable offense. Ashley swallowed hard, guilt flickering across her face. Dad, I knew something was wrong. I ignored the signs. I didn't want it to be true. My mother touched her shoulder gently. It's not your job to diagnose someone. He still had a responsibility. They were right. Ethan's silence had consequences far beyond hurt feelings, and now the law could intervene. Jacob stepped closer, his voice steady but warm. Grace, Ashley, none of this is your fault. You were misled. What matters now is treatment, support, and making sure Ethan can't hurt anyone else. My parents nodded, grateful for his grounded presence. Ashley wiped her eyes and studied him. You're Jacob, right? Grace mentioned you. Her voice was fragile but curious. You're the one who stayed with her through all this? Jacob offered a soft smile. I care about your sister. I'm not going anywhere. Ashley gave me a small, sad smile. You deserve someone like him, Grace. My chest tightened, not from pain this time, but something gentler. Something real. After the meeting, Jacob walked me to the car. The cold air stung my cheeks, but his hand warmed mine instantly. You handled everything with empathy, he murmured. Even after what she did. I shrugged lightly. Holding on to anger won't heal either of us. He stopped, turning me gently toward him. Grace, you've spent so long surviving other people's choices. Maybe it's time you start choosing for yourself. Has a main visit of brightening from the main. I looked up, really looked, and for the first time, I saw a future that didn't feel like a compromise. Jacob's voice dropped to a tender whisper. I'd like to be part of that future. If you'd let me. My breath caught. And slowly, cautiously, I nodded. Because love wasn't supposed to be dramatic or destructive. It was supposed to feel like this. Steady, respectful, unwavering. And after everything I'd endured, I was finally ready for it. The days after the family meeting felt strangely calm, not because everything was fixed, but because everything was finally true. No more secrets. No more pretending. No more illusions. Ashley began treatment immediately. She texted me updates, short, shaky messages that carried more honesty than she'd ever shown in years. Ashley, I'm scared. But I'm doing what the doctor says. Ashley, thank you for staying. You didn't have to, but you did. For once, her words weren't wrapped in pride or competition. Pain had stripped away the performance. My parents apologized too, not in dramatic outbursts, but in quiet moments. Mom held my hands one evening and said softly, We should have protected you better, Grace. We were too afraid of upsetting Ashley, and we forgot we had 2 daughters. I nodded. They weren't perfect. None of us were. But the truth had forced all of us to grow. Ethan, meanwhile, entered mandatory medical counseling. The authorities reached out to him based on the report I filed. It wasn't revenge, it was prevention. The doctor explained that his non-disclosure put others at risk, and he was now required to follow treatment protocols and education sessions. It wasn't about punishment. It was about accountability. And that was enough for me. During all this, Jacob became the one constant thread in the unraveling tapestry of my life. He stayed steady, patient, never once making me feel like a burden. One rainy afternoon, I stopped by his cafe. The place was quiet, dim lights reflecting off the windows. Jacob was wiping down a counter when he spotted me. He smiled, that soft, grounding smile that always made the room feel warmer. Long day? He asked. I approached him slowly. More like, long month. He chuckled gently. Come here. I stepped closer until my forehead rested lightly against his chest. His hand slid to the back of my head, steady and reassuring. Grace, he murmured. I don't want to rush anything. But I want you to know, I'm here because I choose to be. Not because you need help. Not because of what happened. But because I care for the person you are and the person you're becoming. My throat tightened with an emotion I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. I looked up at him. Jacob, I don't know what tomorrow looks like. Everything feels new, unsteady. He brushed a strand of hair behind my ear. That's okay. Tomorrow doesn't have to be clear. It just has to be honest. Honest. A word that used to scare me now felt like freedom. Weeks passed. Ashley kept improving. Our conversations became less about fear and more about rebuilding ourselves separately, but without hostility. She understood now that love couldn't be stolen, and peace couldn't be faked. One evening, standing on my balcony with Jacob beside me, watching the sun dip behind Denver's skyline, he asked, Do you regret any of it? I thought deeply before answering. I regret trusting the wrong people, but I don't regret losing them, because losing what wasn't meant for me led me to everything I needed. Jacob intertwined his fingers with mine. And what's that? I smiled. Soft, real, unforced. Truth, peace, and someone who sees me. Jacob kissed my forehead gently. Then we'll build from there. As the city lights flickered on beneath us, I realized something I never expected. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was living, finally, fully and freely.